We've got a new make. Hey stitchers, it's your girl Kris. Welcome on in if this is the first time that you're finding my space. Welcome back to the channel if you happen to be an OG. So you guys, I've got a new pattern from a new to me pattern company to share with you guys for today's video. And I'm talking about the jacket that I happen to be wearing, and quite honestly, I'm roasting in and I'm very unlikely to make it through this entire video wearing. It is the Cashmerette Hatton Fleece Jacket. And yes, I said fleece, but if you're paying very keen attention, you will notice that your girl is rocking anything but fleece. Let me just give you guys a quick preview of my jacket. What do you think? What do you think? All right. Quick story. Now, back in June, Cashmerette reached out to your girl and invited me to be a part of their Cashmerette ambassadorship. Is that what it's called? Like, they give you a couple patterns, ask you to sew it up, and then you get access to the Cashmerette Club for an entire year. Now, I was super excited to be approached about this venture, but unfortunately, your girl had to decline. And that is because I was gearing up to host the third annual pattern hackathon, and I knew I would not realistically be able to meet the deadlines, take the photographs and all that stuff to the kind of quality that I've come to expect from myself. And if I can't do it well, I'm not going to do it at all. Now, they reached back out to me once again, sometime in August, I think, inviting me once again to be a part of the ambassadorship program. You guys, full disclosure, I almost said no again. They had shared a preview of the patterns with me, and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, they're gearing up for fall and for winter, and it is way too hot here to wear the items that they had shared with me, particularly this one that I'm rocking today. And I was like, boy, can I say no twice, back to back, and expect them to offer me this opportunity for a third time? I didn't want to risk it, and so I said yes. Of course, I did ask a couple questions first. I found out whether I could put my own unique spin on these patterns, make them more island girl friendly, and once I got the okay, I was on and popping. So today, I'm presenting to you my version of the Hatton Fleece Jacket. All right, folks, so let us start with the most obvious elephant in the room, and that would be my fabric choice. Although this pattern was designed for a fleece fabric, I did not have any such fabric in my stash. I would not have had time to order it and have it get here to me in order for me to meet this deadline. And in any event, what would your girl be doing with a fleece jacket? So I started thinking, what fabrics do I have in my stash that I can possibly use for this pattern? And then I remembered this almost like a cotton sateen type camouflage print fabric that I had in my stash. I actually purchased this one, I think it might have been sometime last year, and when I bought it, I did buy it intending to make a jacket, but I thought I was going to do the Style Arc Ziggy jacket. But then the fabric got here and I started second guessing myself, and I thought maybe I want to make a pair of dope trousers instead. That didn't happen either, and then I thought, maybe I can make a mini dress, something that is cute and flirty and sexy. That idea also went out the window, and so I had prepped this fabric and hung it over my rack, and I walked past it the day and I was like, oh my God, I can use this fabric for this jacket. Obviously, it would mean that I would have to do a couple of tweaks, but I thought it would make for a really dope jacket. And I don't think I'm wrong, you guys. I don't think I'm wrong. But let me just stick a pin because, whew, my goodness, this fabric is hot. And I would not have thought that a cotton sateen would have been this warm, you guys. But I'm roasting in my jacket. So I'll take it off for now, give you guys a little bit more of the deets, and then I'll pop in a twirl and some photographs so you can see how I captured my jacket. Right, so let's talk about the alterations I made to the pattern. Now, I started this pattern with a size 12 blended out to a size 14 at the bust line, the waistline, and straight down to the hemline. And I think I might have used the smaller of the size ranges. No, there is an overlap in the size ranges. I think it goes from a 0 up to a 16, and then a 12 or 14 up to something like a 32. But I'll go ahead and double check that, and if I can pull up the size charts, then I'll pop them here on the screen. Please forgive me, you guys. Cashmerette is not a pattern company that I have used before, and so I'm not familiar with their sizing off the top of my head, but I will go and look it up, and then I will put the notation here on the screen. Now, as I said, I did a size 12 at the neckline and blended out to a 14 because I went with the finished garment measurements, and I knew I wanted to have a little bit of ease, but I didn't want it to be like I was wearing somebody else's jacket. Now that I have made up my jacket, I'm thinking that maybe I could have gone with a straight size 14 or even go up one size to the size 16 for a slightly more oversized fit. And that would make layering my jacket a little bit easier, even though, truth be told, I'm probably not going to layer it over much in any event. Something like what I'm wearing today, which is a camisole. This one is a crop top camisole. I'll probably wear it with something like this because, as I said, you guys, and as I keep saying, it is way, way, way too hot. Now, aside from my sizing, I did go in and make some fit adjustments. I didn't do a toile, you guys. I just went with my instinct. I did measure some of the pattern pieces. I looked at the line drawings, and I used all of that information to help me kind of decide what flat pattern adjustments I might need to make. So I did go in and make a 1/2 inch sloping shoulder adjustment. This is almost a given for me in every single pattern that I make up. I do have terribly sloping shoulders, and I find that this pattern adjustment, even though it seems very simple, it does make a huge, huge difference. Now, back in August, I did do a Fit Happen series right here on the channel, and one of the fitting adjustments that I shared during that series was the sloping shoulder adjustment. So if you find that when you try on your bodices, that your bodice sort of gapes away from your shoulder at the top, but it is uncomfortable at your arm side, then you might be a great candidate for this adjustment. As I said, I did a full tutorial here on the channel. I walked you through how you might know whether you need this adjustment or not, and then showed you how to perform this adjustment, as well as talked you through the converse adjustment, which is a square shoulder adjustment. So if you guys want any more information on that one, I'll go ahead and link the video right here. So I did do my 1/2 inch sloping shoulder adjustment. I raised my waistline by a 1/2 inch, and I was toying with the idea, you guys. I was looking at it, I was measuring the pieces, and I thought to myself, do I really need to shorten this waistline? But in the end, I did go ahead and shorten the waistline by 1/2 inch, but I added back in that 1/2 inch lower down my jacket. I also did the same thing on the sleeve because the sleeve is a 2-part sleeve. So I shortened the upper sleeve by 1/2 inch and then lengthened the lower sleeve, I think, by 1.5 inches. I figured I would need some additional length in the sleeve, and I wanted to add back in the 1/2 inch that I had taken up in the upper sleeve. So I did that in the lower sleeve, and you guys, my sleeve still ended up too short. So if you have long arms like your girl, you might want to consider lengthening your sleeve a little bit more. Because my sleeve ended up too short and I did not want that high water feeling on my arms, I absolutely hate that. I hate trousers that swing around my ankles, and I hate sleeves that stop above my wrist. It's just not a cute look for me. So I did go ahead and draft my very own cuff piece and lengthened my sleeve by adding a cuff. Now, I quite like this detail, especially in this fabric, and especially because of the aesthetic that I was trying to give off with a camouflage jacket. I think it turned out quite nice. Now, the final adjustment that I did was a 1/4 inch sway back adjustment. If you guys have a deep dip in your lower back, then you might need to do a sway back adjustment. Now, if you don't do this adjustment, you tend to have quite a bit of pooling right at the center back. Again, I don't like that, so I did go in and do my 1/4 inch sway back adjustment. And there is a tutorial as well for that here on the channel. And I'll make sure that the playlist for all of the fitting adjustments that I have shown here on the channel pops up at the end of this video. So if you are one of those persons who are intrigued by working on your fit, then there are some really, really great tutorials in that playlist. Now, those are all of the fitting adjustments that I can think of that I did. But then when I was constructing my garment, I did sew my side seams using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance instead of the 1/2 inch seam allowance that the pattern comes with. I figured I could use a little bit of wiggle room, and I was not wrong, you guys. As I said, I probably could have sized up this jacket just a little bit for a more comfortable layering piece as opposed to a piece that I can wear on its own. Now, other than those fitting adjustments, I did play around with the pattern a little bit. I guess you can say I hacked it, you guys, because I wanted it to suit more of my style. And because I was going for this camouflage look, I decided that I wanted a military type of inspiration for my jacket. And so I went in and I added a patch, which is the Black Sewing Network patch. I've had this one holding on to for quite some time, and I finally found the perfect use for this patch. So I did go and iron it on right at the upper portion of my jacket, and then I went back in with my machine and did some stitching just to make sure it was nice and secure. Now, my husband happens to be a police officer, and he had a really, really cool patch as well, and it was like some V's in, I think it's 3 or 4 V's in a red color, and I thought, ooh, that would look really, really cool on the sleeve, and so I went in and added it. And I also did a little bit of mixing up when it came to the pockets. Now, this pattern does have a chest pocket, but it was very different from the pocket that I ended up doing. Now, this chest pocket has a zipper in it, and I did not have the right zipper in my stash, and as I said, if I were to order my materials, they would not have gotten here in time. So I ditched that pocket altogether and decided to do like a patch pocket situation on both sides of my jacket, and I added a pocket flap because I just thought that would complete the look quite nicely. Now, because I wanted it to be military inspired, I wanted to have more pockets on my jacket, and so I did go in and add some patch pockets right on the lower jacket piece. This pattern also does have jacket pockets that are very different. They're like an inset or inseam pocket, but again, they called for, I think it might have been like a 6-inch zipper or something like that. And I did not have a 6-inch metallic zipper in the kind of color that I would like to use for my jacket. And so I omitted those altogether and replaced them, as I said, with the patch pocket. Now, when it came to doing my center front, the pattern anticipates that you use bias binding, not bias binding. I think it's called fold over elastic. That's right, fold over elastic. I did not have any of that in my stash either. I contemplated using the bias binding instead, but in the end, I omitted the binding altogether. Instead, I pulled out the only zipper that I had that was even long enough or nearly long enough to complete my front jacket. And the zipper that I had is a 2-way jacket zipper. And I could cry tears, you guys, that I had to go in and use my 2-way jacket zipper for this jacket because it is not a lined jacket, and it means that I cannot wear it reversible because of that. So it almost feels like a waste of my zipper, but I did not have anything remotely long enough in the type of zipper that I needed for this jacket. And so I just bit the bullet and used it up. Now, I put in my zipper completely different to the instructions, again, because I did not use any fold over elastic to finish my edges. And that also meant that I lost a little bit of width across my center front. Now, with the fold over elastic, you simply encase the raw edges and top stitch it down. But with my jacket, I did have to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance on either side of my center front. And that meant I lost a total of a 1/2 inch width at my center front. Luckily for me, I can still close up my jacket and it doesn't feel like it's pulling across my bust or anything like that. But I do think if I had gone up the extra size, then I would still have a little bit more wiggle room, just again for layering purposes. Now, when it came to my collar, I did not use the fold over elastic on my collar either because I did not have it. And that meant I sewed my collar using, I think, a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And that meant my collar ended up to be narrower than the line drawings would demonstrate. I don't really like things up around my neck anyway, so by doing this, it meant that I reduced the height of my collar and made it a lot more comfortable for me to wear. Now, with all the fitting adjustments and the aesthetic adjustments that I made to my jacket, I really, really, really love my finished jacket, you guys. The only thing, oh, I did forget to mention that I had to do a 2-inch hem on my jacket instead of the 1-inch hem anticipated by the pattern instructions. Again, that is because of the length of my zipper. If I had had a longer zipper, then I would have been able to do a 1-inch hem, but I did not. So I used what I had, and that means my jacket is an inch shorter than is anticipated. But all in all, I really, really, really love this jacket, and I can see myself wearing it as much as is humanly possible in this heat, because you guys, I know I keep harping on about how hot it is, but it's really, really hot. And I'm low-key jealous of you guys who are moving into the fall and the winter months, because it means you can dress differently. You can pull off a different vibe, mix up your wardrobe a little bit more. And I really, really wish I had more of an opportunity to sew like some different stuff and wear like some different stuff instead of summer dresses, summer blouses, summer jackets, blah, 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 blah. Notwithstanding, I really, really like this jacket, and I'm gonna find any chance possible to work it into my wardrobe. Now, truth be told, on the island, when we get down to like November or December, it does get slightly cooler in the nights. We do get a nice sea breeze, but it's nothing near what you guys would call cold. But I do think I would be able to get away with wearing it a little bit more during the Christmas season. And if I get a chance to travel, then I can rock my jacket and get some maximum usage out of it, because I feel like the world needs to see this one. Now, in terms of the rating, it will not surprise you then and therefore to hear that I'm giving my jacket a 10 out of 10 because I love it. I loved this fabric. I was having an obsession with camouflage print. I see that it's still trending. I hope I'm not giving you guys wrong information. And even if it's not trending, I don't really care because I do love this fabric. The only thing that I can think to comment on is because it is a cotton sateen, it means that the inside of my jacket is white. I think I might have preferred to line it fully, and then I would have been able to use my reversible zipper. But I also think it would have given me a nice clean finish on the inside. But time was not my friend, you guys, and I did not feel like trying to figure it out, especially since this jacket has been drafted to be an unlined jacket. But I don't think that bothers me too much, at least not enough to change my finished score of a 10. 10, 10, 10, 10. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now, I'm really, really grateful to Cashmerette for reaching out to me and offering me this opportunity. It really did push my creativity to the limits because, as I said, I looked at it and thought, what am I going to do with a fleece jacket? How can I make this more island girl friendly? How can I make this more Kris friendly? And I do think I managed to nail it. So shout out to Cashmerette for this opportunity. It does mean that at the end of the 3 patterns that I have to do for them, this one being the first one, I will get access to their Cashmerette Club for a year. So I did get a perk for accepting this opportunity. Notwithstanding, all of the thoughts that I have shared here on today's video are my own. And I'm always honest with you guys, because why shouldn't I be? If I'm going to share something, then I'm going to give my honest opinion on it. Now, maybe if I had made this up in the fleece fabric as anticipated, I don't think I would have liked it as much. I'm not sure how I feel about the chest pocket, if that's really my vibe, but I do understand why it is there. So just bear all of that in mind if and when you decide to purchase this pattern. Now, I can't talk to you guys too much about the instructions. To be honest with you guys, I barely glimpsed through those instructions, you guys. I was like, okay, it's an online jacket. How hard can it be? It looks fairly simple to put together. And so I followed my intuition for most of it, other than to go in and check the measurements as I indicated and the seam allowance. I kind of just winged it, you guys. So unfortunately, I can't tell you whether they're really, really good instructions, but I have heard through the grapevine that Cashmerette does have very good beginner-friendly instructions, but take that, you guys, with a grain of salt. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, if you enjoyed hearing my review of the Hatton Fleece, then be sure to go ahead and give your girl a thumbs up. Drop me a comment down below and let me know, what do you guys think of my finished jacket? Do you think I managed to make it island-friendly, Kris-friendly? Do you think it would have looked better in a fleece? Do you think I should have done the pockets as the pattern instructed? Listen, you guys, let us move all the conversation from off the screen to down below in the comment section. It is my greatest joy in seeing my phone light up and realizing that somebody left me a comment on one of my YouTube videos. I really, really do appreciate it. Now, if you happen to have got this far in today's video and you're not a subscriber, do yourself a favor and do me a favor as well and go ahead and click that subscribe button, turn your notifications on, and that means you will always be in the loop when your girl brings a new video to the channel. Now, I think that is all I needed to share with you guys for today. I need to go ahead and take this makeup off because I feel so uncomfortable now, you guys. It is just too hot. Way, way, way too freaking hot. Anyways, I'm done. So until next time, you guys, stay calm, stay cool, stay safe, and absolutely keep watching. Peace.